Good morning, Atlanta Apparel. We are thrilled that you are all here to join us at October Market and this morning, virtually, of course, for our trend panel with our featured influencers, Lindsay Rozier, Denee, and Sabrina Molu. Before I introduce our panel, we love when you get social with us and encourage you to share your experience while you're here at Market. As you're taking and posting photos and videos, be sure to tag at Atlanta Apparel and use the hashtag ATL Apparel so we can all follow along. So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Caris Fairfax. I am an associate publisher here at Modern Luxury, which locally produces the Atlantan and Jezebel magazines, to name a few. But nationally, we produce over 85 magazines in 22 markets, along with our digital counterparts. So welcome everyone, and welcome to our amazing panelists. I would love for you all to tell us a little bit about your background, where your career started, and a little bit about your journey since we last spoke in 2019. So Sabrina, we will start with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabrina Molu and I am a local influencer here in Atlanta. I'm a content creator and a blogger, and I've been running my blog for almost a decade. So November will be my 10-year anniversary of running Simply Sabrina, and it has been a amazing journey. I am a lifestyle blogger with a strong emphasis on beauty, and this year has been the strangest year, but also extremely exhilarating. It's been exciting. It's brought a lot of challenges and a lot of new endeavors, and I'm really happy to be sharing all of my journey with you guys.
Well, we're so excited you're here and so good to see you. I can't believe it's been a year. So Lindsay, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Rozier, and I, too, am a local Atlanta blogger and influencer. And I have been blogging for 6 years now. It's so crazy how things have evolved, and we think this is the craziest year. But when I look back at 6 years ago, so much has changed just in that short amount of time as well. And I actually started in this industry of fashion being a wholesale rep. So many of you who might be watching, I may have come to your stores, seen you at markets, sold you an item or 10, and enjoyed that so very much. I actually exited the industry to go to a more corporate setting 2 years ago, which has allowed me even more to expand my reach and my blog to more women. So I focus mostly with fashion, workwear, and my lifestyle, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
That's amazing. And I love that you have that connection to the wholesale market, which we will talk more about in upcoming questions. But Marie, please introduce yourself.
Yes, well, thank you so much for the intro and for having me. I'm Denee. I'm the creator of The Curvy Fashionista. We are a blog turned now digital media platform. So we've kind of grown and scaled since we've talked last. This December, we turned 12, which is kind of wild. Feels very surreal, but we focus all on the plus side of things. So plus size fashion, news, trends, designers, where to shop, who's doing what, as it pertains to the plus size lifestyle world, as well as beauty, entertainment, and anything that kind of like accessorizes the plus size woman's life. And it's been really exciting. I've lived here in Atlanta for 6 years. For the last 6 years, actually just last month hit 6 years here in Atlanta. So I'm kind of really excited. I do miss home, just California, but this is my home now.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're so grateful to have you all here and to have your expertise and advice. So let's just get right into the questions. So we're all living in a new normal, obviously, with quarantine and working from home. So with this new normal, we are seeing a new standard of authenticity, of course, from you as influencers, but from brands. So can you speak to what that looks like for you, and then also what brands are doing it well? And Sabrina, let's start with you.
So I definitely feel like we have unleashed this like new era of just realness. And I feel like it's something that the entire fashion industry, the influencer industry and really creators in general, whether you're an individual brand or a corporation, have been struggling with, right? And I feel like this has been a awakening that I kind of hope doesn't go away. So, whether you're on a Zoom call and your dog is barking, or if you're showing the behind the scenes of how you're setting up a lighting studio to shoot fashion outfits in your home, we're making creation more visible, and we're making fashion and lifestyle just a part of it. So it's not this like, we have to go out and shoot a million outfits on the street and we have to like showcase like we're doing this every single day and this is our lifestyle, but more so bringing fashion and the entire like lifestyle of fashion back into our homes, and how we make that happen in a very real setting. Being fashionable, or even in the fashion industry, isn't necessarily all about the clothes that you're wearing, but it's like who you are as a person and how you embody localized fashion, environmental fashion, sustainable fashion, petite or plus size fashion. How are you making that a part of your life? And I think the brands that have really stood out are some of the key players that have been doing it all along. So there's some smaller agencies and boutiques, smaller boutique agencies who have been doing a really good job of this. I know there's a couple local to Atlanta who were doing lives every week in their shops and saying, hey, here are my new arrivals. And those are the same people that are doing them at home now. And so they're showing you how they're making one piece, extend beyond its lifestyle. I think nationally, I was actually really impressed by H&M's summer launch. I felt like when they completely, I'm sure that was shot months in advance, but the way they completely pulled that back and reshot everything with like real life people, influencers, bloggers, models in their homes, I thought was very admirable to like pull back your entire campaign and make it more reasonable and more accessible to the regular person.
How about that? And Marie, I'd love to hear from you on this.
One of the things that I think that's, been very interesting about this time is kind of identifying and realizing your values. And you see a lot of people kind of coming back to their core values and kind of weeding out what's important to them, or not weeding out what's not important, and focusing on the things that really matter for each person. And so you see that with people showing up as themselves and kind of removing that veneer of feeling having to be on. They can just show up and everyone's like, this is me, this is how I am, like take it, and this is how it is. And that has allowed for us to have conversation, to kind of look behind the scenes, to be able to look behind the curtain of what's going on in folks' home. Because I don't know about you, but I've seen more of people's houses and homes than I have ever seen. And to see like what their day-to-day looks like is kind of refreshing, especially as you're amongst other entrepreneurs, other business owners. It's really inspiring and motivating to kind of, find out what really works for you and what really motivates you. And especially in the plus space, where we have immediately shifted our content. We had to shift what we were talking about and make it relative and on time and important to what our readership was looking for, right? And that translated to brands like Eloquy, who actually hired plus size influencers to shoot their new arrivals in their own spaces. You actually got to see like more of a laid back approach, that wasn't so much, the 6-inch heels. It was more like house shoes and tennis shoes and, slides. You saw more of a loungewear kind of emergence, which most of us already work from home. So that just made our work from home wardrobe feel even more fancy, but comfortable. I think you also get to see, for me, one of the things that I've noticed in the plus space is the secondhand boutiques, secondhand stores, the thrift stores. People are becoming more aware of the community, how they're shopping, whether it's consignment, ethical. There's an awareness rather than just the disposable.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I just love hearing your insight on all of this, because you all see this from so many different sides as a consumer, but a business owner, and it's very interesting. So Lindsay, I'd love to hear your insight on this too.
Yeah, part of me feels like, not that we knew this situation was coming, but we were almost preparing for it all along. So I feel like through social media platforms, boutiques moving their inventory onto websites, they were preparing for something like this all along, because that's where the trend was heading, a lot of online shopping. So I myself saw so much authenticity of boutiques grab the bull by the horns, know that their stores had to be closed, but they were still going to connect with their customers. So seeing try-on sessions that they typically weren't doing, doing, like Sabrina was saying, having lives. My sister owns a clothing store, and she was doing home drop-off deliveries, which I thought was amazing. Like letting her customer know, we have you, we want you to be comfortable while you're at home. And we don't want you to feel like you need to get out to come and get something. We'll bring it to you. The other thing was, I think with in the boutique market, brands who are based here in the USA. So, I mean, they got to show their authenticity big time, because they could react really quickly to the needs of their to their customers, and have lounge sets made, and t-shirts and joggers and sweatshirts and hoodies and all those comfy clothing that we want to wear at home. So I thought it was really incredible seeing this industry come together so quickly with the resources that we have to make sure everybody in their new, intermediate lifestyle at home is comfy and fashionable.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of this small business industry, and especially boutiques. Me as a shopper, I love to build that relationship with the store owner. And now more than ever, I feel like we as the consumer have that relationship, because maybe we're not seeing them in the store as much because we're not going out shopping as much, but we're seeing them on social media, and we get to see a different side of them. We get to see them as a mom, as a dog mom, or as, a stylist. So I think it furthers that relationship even more. And I think we as the consumer want to get out and support them. We don't want them to close down. We want to come out and support and make sure, we're doing what we can because we love their style. And now we have that deeper connection with them. And I know for us as a magazine, obviously we pivoted in a big way, but luckily much of our distribution was an in-home medium, which is so great with social media too. And obviously I think that's such a big part of the boutique's marketing strategy, is using those in-home mediums, meet you where you are, and you just further that relationship. Even for us with our fashion styled shoots, normally we do big shoots with models and hair and makeup, and obviously we couldn't do a lot of that. And so our creative director did some drawings. So he had a lot of the designers compile their drawings for upcoming trends, where we featured those in the magazine. We featured mannequins out in the wilderness to give, kind of that, I guess, luxury vibe, but not utilizing models. But we're just trying to meet people where they are and also be aware of the current environment too. So but I think boutique owners are doing a really great job of being authentic and furthering that relationship with their buyers. So
Caris, I would also say, and I totally forgot, like the indie designers. There are two local designers here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, who pivoted to masks, who pivoted to selling and making masks in the way that their mask business has literally overtaken their day-to-day ready-to-wear business. Wow. In terms of sales and volume. And that, like, to Lindsay's point about brands having to, like, they're quicker to pivot and to make those adjustments. Watching so many indie designers, I know a designer in LA who was able to hire her whole family who'd been laid off just to produce masks.
Wow. I mean, that's really been what has been extraordinary coming out of this, of how these small business owners have adapted, evolved, and just keep forging ahead, and being okay with change, so.
I think it speaks real, just one more note on this. I think it's such a big player in what has happened, and it's really shown the consumer the dedication of either the brand or the boutique, the things that they did, and the decisions that they made to keep their business alive. I think it just shows the authenticity of what it's like to be a small business owner in this country, and how much they care about their customers. So this question was really important to me.
I so agree. I'm glad we kicked this off with this question because I think it was really powerful. So, well, let's just roll into the next one. So, during these uncertain times, what are some unique ways that you're reaching your audience? So, Marie, let's start with you.
Well, I actually kicked off a Facebook Live series called Speaking of Curves, and we do this twice a week. And it was created specifically to connect with plus size business owners, influencers, creators, and creatives to show the audience, the readers, how they can best support these designers and these brands and businesses because especially in the plus space, like a lot of the innovation and creativity comes from the indies, comes from the grassroots. And it was like really particularly important to me that we keep supporting them so that they could get to the, get to the other side of the pandemic, that they last through, especially as like plus size fashion is like losing a lot of brands, or we're losing a lot of physical locations. And so we were able to pivot and create conversation and dialogue. And so even through the conversations we have, like I'm challenging my guests to kind of share their journey and share like how they're navigating through anxiety, depression, and how they're innovating because they could be speaking to the next design or the next brand. And it's been a really cool kind of process. I ended up being inspired myself to really kind of take a couple of personal leaps with the brand and with what we're doing. So it's been a process of like we created this and then they've inspired me, which is for us, we have been starting to shift and featuring more people from the community. We are now, like, I just launched a secondary brand website and brand, and I'm also now working on a book proposal. So there, and then we also are working on another project that's very community centered. So it's like really allowing the space to kind of take those leaps with ideas and projects that we probably wouldn't have had the time or the courage to do so.
That's awesome. Well, I know we were all very jealous of your amazing setup. So you remind us when these Facebook Lives are for the audience, because I know
Yes,
we want to tune in.
thank you. They're on Facebook, The Curvy Fashionista, on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 p.m. And this is, it's a really kind of 30-minute girlfriend conversation, just checking in to see where they are and how we can best support them.
I love it. Well, Lindsay, share with us a little bit about how you're reaching your audience.
Yeah, I too am like Marie. I jumped into I was more on Instagram Live. This, what I'm going to share, has zero to do with fashion, but it just gave me a really natural way to connect with my audience. I am single, and I know a lot of women out there were single during quarantine and during this pandemic situation, kind of feeling alone, and just honestly kind of needing that community, kind of like what Marie offers as well. So I started a live every Monday. I would invite a friend or a guy or an influencer friend to join me, have this, kind of open door conversation. Everyone is welcome. And it really just helped me connect with my audience instead of, buy this, which is great. But again, being aware of people's situations right now, I wanted to make sure I was offering educational support along with fashion finds and trends. And I felt like that really created a lot of trust with my audience. And two, I've seen several other people or other boutiques and people on social media try to give more educational tips, throw out nuggets of information that, maybe that audience member or that customer can't buy something right this second, but because you gave them something valuable, they'll come back when they have tangible money. So I think that's something that I've learned is, they may not shop with you right this second, but when you build that trust, they'll definitely come back.
I so agree. I mean, that goes back to that authenticity factor. And like you said, building that trust, because if they trust you with one thing, they're going to trust you with others. And it's just building that relationship further. So, and I've caught some of those. And even though I'm wifed up, which I love my husband. I don't know if I would marry again. It's a lot of work. But
Well,
I enjoyed watching. So
I appreciate it. And it's nice. That's why I like to invite everyone to the table, because even though you're married, you still should be dating your husband and get looking good, even if it's at an at-home date night. But to like being able to share this information with your friends. And again, that goes back to the educational compartment. Like, I'm giving something, it resonates with someone. It may not apply exactly to their life, but they can share it with someone. So taking it back to fashion, if you get fashion tips and you have someone who's watching and they can then go share it with a friend, you've just gained a new person to follow you.
I love that. Well, Sabrina, would you like to add anything of how you're reaching your end user?
Yeah, I love it. So I feel like I am with the rest of the ladies, and I feel like it's important to mention that this is what sets creators apart. It's the ones who, stripped of your fancy photographer, stripped of your, a lot of people lost, sponsorships, and, budgets were tight, even for influencers who are also small business owners. So if you weren't doing it for like the luxury, you weren't doing it for the product, you weren't doing it for the money, what would you do, right? Like, would you still do it? And I think that that really set people apart in terms of like, are you going to show up and serve your audience when like there's little in it for you? And I think that towards the beginning of quarantine, we saw some creators pulling back and we saw some creators pushing forward. And I think that that made a very strong line, similarly with businesses and boutiques, but with your audience, right? It's exactly what the other ladies were saying. It's a trust factor. And like, are you going to show up and serve them when there's nothing in it for you? And are you going to build that relationship? So I have pivoted as well. I'm not a live person as much as I love doing this. I'm in general just like to, I just love the creation and like the editorial perspective of certain things that I do. And to be honest, I ramble a lot. So sometimes I like to make nuggets of small information. But I have been doing a lot. So I launched my TikTok at the end of last year, and I've seen exponential growth with TikTok. I mean, more than 5 times the amount of traffic that I've built in like 10 years on Instagram. So it's really been an amazing platform to train myself to create small short form content. And with the introduction of Reels on Instagram, now I'm pivoting this TikTok strategy into like, how is this going to fit my lifestyle brand that is very focused on, serving my audience, right? Like, how am I going to serve my audience in different ways? And so for me, instead of like live videos, actually short form videos, but video nonetheless. So I think for me, that's kind of what it is. It's about building trust, adding value, and showing up for your audience in like new and creative ways. My favorite kind of slogan when people ask me about growth and growing your audience and reaching more people is that you have to be comfortable with like the trial and error side of it, right? Like, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting the results that you've always gotten. And it's okay if you try something and it doesn't work. So stick with it, and, give yourself time, right? If you're a boutique and you're launching a try on series every Monday and only 300 people watch the first one, do it for 2 months and then reevaluate and see, hey, was this working for me? If not, that's okay. Offer yourself that kindness and forgiveness. Check it off to saying, I tried something new and now I'm going to try something new again. And I think as creators, business owners, small businesses, we don't offer ourselves a lot of forgiveness in this trial and error space, but this is like the right time to do it.
Well,
Totally. It's all about that grace.
I completely agree. I was talking to a boutique friend of mine, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm getting frustrated, I'm stagnant. And I'm like, well, you're doing the same thing. Why don't you switch it up? And I said, give yourself 2 weeks, change it up. Are you going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, that was I lost 2 weeks? No, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I learned something. Or now I know what I'll do in the next 2 weeks. So
I launched, I've been getting a lot of questions. I've always gotten a lot of interest just like in my hair. I just like, of all the things that we criticize about ourselves, like I've actually just been blessed with really good hair. Like one thing I can thank my parents for, like I have I carry like all my weight in like the bottom half of my body, but I have really good hair. And so like, I just always had people ask me about like hair tutorials and things. And I just kind of leaned into that in these last 3 months. And I have seen, even on Instagram, so these videos go out every Tuesday. It's called Simply Does Hair. And I just do a quick, usually under 5-minute hair tutorial every Tuesday. And it's crazy because these videos, the first one wasn't awesome. The second one, it got some traction a little bit, whatever. I have some videos that are still getting my videos. It's weird. I don't know like these algorithms, but like it's being shared and picked up for like videos of like over a month ago. And now like those videos, I'm seeing people who will like it, comment on it, and then follow. And so my follower count has jumped more in these last 2 months than it has in like the last like 2 years, just because of trying something new and like, again, sticking it out, right? It's something that's fun for me. Is it work? Absolutely. So creating content is always work, but like you're learning about it, you're doing it, you're perfecting your art, you're sharing that, adding value to somebody's life, and just kind of trust the process, and like things will come back to you. And it's not always about growth and like reaching more people. Sometimes it's about catering to the community that like chooses to stick with you.
That part.
I've definitely watched your hair tutorials also and love those.
Same.
But I mean, I so agree. Sabrina, I'm glad you mentioned TikTok and Reels. I mean, those are obviously two newer things that I really, encourage boutique and small business owners to utilize, and to, new ways to reach audiences, especially with TikTok reaching kind of that younger audience, and Reels really with the Instagram algorithm pushing that to the top. And that's something even our company has done. I mean, obviously we focus primarily on magazine and website and digital and social, but it has been a little bit of a downtime, and normally we're all so busy we don't have time to focus on those other things. We're so focused on buying for the store or getting ready for the holidays. But now that maybe things have been a little bit slower, you can get organized and get a marketing plan in place where you can reach out to your influencers. You can start filming reels and try-ons and TikToks. And then I encourage you to reach out to your local magazine, newspaper, websites, blogs, to try to form that relationship, because you never know when those editors or creators need content or need an image ready to go that they can drop into a holiday gift guide. So I encourage that, because that will just help you reach all kinds of new audiences. So
I think, Caris, that's such a good point of it can be kind of overwhelming for a boutique to think, I have to buy, I have to keep my store up, I have employees, I have to keep the books, I have to do the social media, the website. I mean, there's so many hats that they wear. Well, that's why influencers are there. They can help you take off that content hat and they can create it for you. So reach out to someone. If you're intimidated by TikTok, reach out to someone in your area who is shining on TikTok. Give them a chance, send them a gifted item, start to partner with people who excel. That's something I've learned during this is, passing off things that I am not excelling in so that I can focus what I'm really good on, my time on. So I tell people that all the time, like, get an influencer. There is someone out there who can work with your budget. I promise you, and let them do the hard TikTok videos for you.
Also about finding budget, right? So one of the things that when I partner with Atlanta Apparel and, we share lots of goodies about influencer marketing, it's very much about like, budget doesn't just show up, right? Like you're never going to like wake up in the morning and be like, oh, look how much money I have left over. Like that doesn't happen, right? So like the same way that you're going to budget your social media promotions, the same way you're going to budget those flyers, the same way you're going to budget for an event that you were hosting, a launch, a party, new arrivals, maybe new mannequins, whatever it is, that's the same way you have to budget into influencer. And like, if we still see businesses that run billboard ads on the highway, like if you can't track the ROI of how many cars are driving by that billboard, there's a benefit to marketing with influencers that you can track that ROI, even if it's eyeballs and impressions. That's more so than we can do for a lot of traditional forms of marketing. So it's important to just experiment and like try different things. And like she said, are so many people that can work with your budget. And a lot of influencers are willing to work with small businesses, being small businesses themselves. But at its core, it's not about what somebody else can do for me. It's about a mutually beneficial relationship. So how are you going to build a relationship with an influencer that continues to serve you and serve them? The influencer marketing is a top of the funnel experience. They are going to introduce your brand to their audience, but they can help in a lot of other ways. That content that they've now created, that is now the content for your ads, right? If you buy the rights to those images, you can now run promotional content behind it. You now don't have to hire a hairstylist and a makeup artist and a model and a photographer and a videographer and an editor and put it all together with a content creator and a copywriter. You can hire somebody to do those things for you, but you have to create the budget to do that.
Yep.
I could not agree more. And honestly, everything we've talked about kind of rolls into the next question. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. Have you had to change your communication strategy during this time? So I think maybe there's a little bit more we can add to this. So Marie, I'm going to start with you on this.
I think if anything, there's been more communication. For me, I've done more Zoom calls than I've ever done before. Instead of getting on the phone, we're getting on the computer. But I do appreciate it because, this isn't something that we would normally do, especially as content creators. It's more about the phone or an email. And so being able to connect, I've actually reached out to different PR people that I'm just like, girl, how you doing? Like just checking in just to make sure, like, are you okay? How are things going? Because, and there are moments where we're just kind of like, and we want to throw everything away. It's really encouraging to reach out to other, for me, high touch with other creators, past independent contractors, brands that I'm like, how are you doing? Especially with, the news of like certain brands being sold and bought and bankruptcy, for me, it's important to like just, pick up the phone or schedule a Zoom. That's definitely been, kind of just one strategy. But on the flip side, I have found that I have left the day-to-day communication on Facebook and I have moved back over to Twitter with my day-to-day communication. Like for me and how I engage and where I'm talking, you won't catch me very much on Instagram, which I probably should be spending more time over there. But I'm living on Twitter. Like for me, I'm having these various different conversations. I'm staying connected with places and ways that I want to, that's best for my mental health and for my emotional state. And I'm also, to Sabrina's point, I'm also making sure that I'm giving myself and brands and family more grace because, we are in an unprecedented time. So for me, like when it comes to like how we're communicating, what we're communicating, I'm taking all those things into consideration, especially like for us, like our content is, shifted, our frequency has not changed. Our cadence has not changed. It's more so about what we're saying and how we're saying it.
I so agree. And I mean, that's just, which is amazing, being aware of the current environment and meeting people where they are. And I also think people remember who was there for them in the bad times, and then they of course navigate to you in the good times. So Lindsay, what about you? Have you altered your communication strategy at all, or tell us some of the things you're doing?
I have always, I guess it kind of goes back to our first question. What am I doing to navigate during this? And I do feel like we were kind of prepared for this. I have been heavily on Instagram stories, kind of from the get-go. I love being live with my audience and showing, little insights into my day. So, I mean, I've kind of been rolling with what I've been doing. I've incorporated lives. And then I've been looking into doing a podcast. So I feel like people are kind of at a place where they can be doing work, but sitting and visually looking at something and listening is becoming a little bit harder. And so when someone can just listen to the message, you can multitask. But I feel a little I've noticed myself being a little limited on doing like when I want people to rewatch a live or something like that. So I'm kind of navigating down that path. But yeah, I just honestly, I was already into the stories. People are nosy. It was a breath of fresh air to just kind of escape and watch those videos. So I just kept going and upped my frequency, which, speaking to small boutiques, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to do stories. It gives them an insight into the behind the scenes, what it looks like it's almost like taking a virtual tour of their store. So I think as many times during the day as it allows, throw a video on there, call out some item that you have in the store that a ton of people just came in and bought, or that you got a lot of online orders for. Walk someone through how to shop on your, new website. So I think, I just think those stories are vital. They're really, really important.
I so agree. I mean, my favorite boutiques that I watch over and over are every day on there showing try-ons, new arrivals, showcasing what's on sale, where I can just buy directly. So I think that's very important. So Sabrina, I'm going to start this next question with you because we've already kind of touched on this a little bit. So what virtual formats are working best for your customers or your followers, and tips for conducting them well?
So I'm going to try to keep this short because I feel like my answers have been really long, but we've kind of, like you said, we've already talked about it. TikTok and Reels are part of like my Q4 strategy. TikTok has been part of my strategy this entire year. So short form video has been really big for me. That's an extension of stories. So creating for your feed, and then also creating on other things. I also think and as far as tips go, like one important note is that not everything that works on one piece of, like, not everything that works in one place is going to work in another place. And I think it's very important that people sit down and like truly understand and strategize. Like even if it's on Instagram, your reel strategy should be different than your story strategy, should be different than your feed strategy. And similarly, if you have a website and a blog or an email list or a TikTok or Twitter, you should at least commit to one long form piece of content that you are constantly delivering on, and one short form piece of content. Where can they find you, and how are you communicating long form and short form, and how do those strategies differ? Because I think what people try to do is that they're just trying to replicate and create content in one place and throw it out to a bunch of other places, and then you're wondering why it didn't stick. And it's like, well, because your audience on Facebook is looking for something different than your audience on Instagram stories, and you just kind of have to it doesn't mean you have to create a ton of different pieces. You just have to tailor your strategy.
I think that's brilliant. I mean, it truly goes back to knowing your audience, and obviously different audiences and demographics go to different platforms, so I think that's so important to educate yourself on the various platforms and who you're trying to reach and where. So Marie, I'd love to hear from you on this too.
Well, Sabrina and Lindsay have both got me like, I feel a little convicted. Like I need to do a little bit better on Instagram. I have to wrap my head around it. And I think it's, sometimes we can get overwhelmed and we don't have the resources to kind of be in all of these different places. Or, it's just me, but I'm like wearing 10 hats, right? And so
it's all of us.
right.
With you.
But, I do find that, there are areas that have surprised me. For example, Pinterest. My Pinterest has literally doubled in its impressions, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I did. And, that's just my audience reacting, and like, that's where they're shifting, right? Like they're scrolling Pinterest and they're like looking for kind of fun stuff. So for me, I'm like, whoa, okay, hey girls. And so I'm paying attention there. I'm trying out placement of text, right? I'm testing out different things because they're there and they're looking for stuff. And so, for me, as if I was to give any type of tip, I think it's important to recognize and to watch your analytics. What are your analytics telling you? Where is that person at? Where are they following? What are they clicking through to? What are they swiping up to? I think it's important that you pay attention to those, because sometimes when they're like, oh, well, I don't know what to do or what to write about or do a video on, it's right there in front of you. It's really looking at your data and parsing through to figure out what it is that's going to be the most important, and showing up for them in the way that they, where they're captive already. And for me, like one of the things that I've probably added, so I have my Facebook Live, but I've also added, because I use StreamYard, I can also go live on Periscope, which is very different because, that's Twitter over there. So, I've just recently added them in, and then they have like other options for like YouTube Live and LinkedIn. I haven't gotten those two yet, but I'm kind of slowly kind of figuring out like where they're like liking this content. And I continue to give that to them in ways that it makes the most sense for them. So it's just really kind of understanding what your audience is already telling you.
Mm-hmm. That's such great feedback. All right, ladies, let's talk fashion. So when you're styling yourself, what are your 5 go-to pieces right now you now have in your closet that you didn't have before? And then alternatively, what trend pieces are you incorporating lately that you love? So 5 go-to pieces that you have in your closet right now, and then some new on-trend pieces. So Sabrina, let's start with you.
Oh geez. So I'm going to start with on trend. I'm actually like really into the like shirt jacket, the shackets.
Yes.
I didn't think I would because I have a petite frame, and so I wasn't quite sure how it would work for me, but I'm actually loving them for fall over like because of proportion sizes. I have to be very careful if I wear things that are like too long, like long leggings and then a long shirt, I'll just be swallowed. So leaving it open with like a crop top underneath has just been really great, like transitional pieces for me. So that's like the new trend thing. As far as like staples go, I'm like still wearing mom jeans. I feel like I've been wearing them for like 2 years and I have no intention of stopping. Like they just like make me feel like trendy and they make me feel comfortable, and I feel like I can eat a meal when I wear them. And so I'm definitely sticking with mom jeans. A staple is like a good pair of black leggings, like whether you choose to go athletic and do like the Lululemon Aligns are just iconic, right? You could get a good pair of just compression leggings. You could do the Spanx, you could do faux leather, but just a good pair of black leather leggings. I also am just really into like a white linen button down. That's something that I think we've always seen, like a white button down has been iconic like year after year, but I think a lighter summer material that can be layered is very in right now. So you're seeing people do it with like sweater vests, which I'm not quite there yet. Like I can't really do the sweater vest, but I'm down with the shirt. So that's my third. I love a pair of I'm short, so I wear really high heeled boots, but a pair of boots that are mid ankle. So not necessarily ankle boots, but also not like mid calf boots, like something that is above the ankle to give you the length of like the full shoe that you need. And it doesn't kind of, again, I'm petite, so it can't chop me off at my ankles. It has to like blend seamlessly. So if I'm wearing like a pair of like a skirt and then I have this like longer almost like that sock boot, that length is what I'm talking about. So I have a pair that I got from H&M 4 years ago. Like the laces are shot, like they are gone, but I will like wear that boot down because I love it. So that's 4. And then I think my last one is just a pair of like white tennis shoes, like whatever you're comfortable in. I think right now that's like my go. As much as I love my heels, like I keep pulling out every outfit with my white sneakers.
No, those are great staples. Lindsay, what about you?
So I have kind of just developed my staples this year, kind of based on what my audience likes seeing me in and what they like to buy. So classic today, prints. I'm really print driven. My audience likes it. It's a really great way to camouflage any problem areas. So give me a leopard, a camo, or a dark floral. I'm here for it. Tie-dye, love it.
And can we just say you called the tie-dye trend?
Yes, you did. I remember.
You did.
I knew it was, I can always tell when something's hot at the end of a summer, we'll see it again. So it seamlessly came through with jogger sets, which I just in general like sets. So any kind of hoodie, pullover t-shirt with a jogger that matches, I'm here for it. It's like adult granimals. And I know that those are trending and doing really well for specialty stores too. That's something that they were able to hop on very quickly at the beginning of quarantine, was to get matching sets on their websites. I do like luxury, so Golden Goose sneakers. I've developed quite a little collection during COVID. So those were some of my COVID purchases. So I love my sneakers. A good classic white t-shirt. I think it pairs back with so many good things. And I love fall, like dark floral maxi dresses. I think that's 5. I would say, cause I mean, black leggings, Spanx, of course. I would say my trend piece this year is going to be the faux leather jogger. I'm obsessed. I have to like stop myself from wearing it. I finally found one that fits my shape, my body type, and now I just can't stop. And then I think the other on trend, I would say like being able to, especially knowing where people's financials are and being mindful of that. I think brands did a really good job of repeating some styles so that people who bought it the previous year, they're still on trend. Like they don't feel pressure to go buy it. They may made it in a new color, but that person already has it. So I'm loving like all my Free People dresses because they're continuing to make them just in new colorways. So I feel like I'm on that trend still with the boho floral dress.
Reed, what about you?
So I am I'm gonna start with the trend item. For me, I am here for all things plus size leather. We haven't had this much of a variety of options and it doesn't matter that we can't really go a lot of the places. I'm just starting to collect them all. And I'm not talking about moto jackets. I'm talking about, the real dramatic A-line skirts or the shirt dresses or the, purple leather midi wrap dress jacket situation. Or, I mean, there's just like so much happening with leather and it's all faux leather, but like in the plus size option. So for me, like, that's like really like where I'm spending all my time. In regards to some of my go-tos right now, for me, I'm definitely here for the sets. Like once things hit, like these boutiques had them sets ready to go. And I was like, give them all to me. Also, activewear / loungewear. Well, I'll say activewear because, Fila just came out with a whole new, like they came back from the 90s and I'm here for it. So like I have all the Fila hoodies and leggings and I'm wearing them together and I'm feeling very like, kind of throwback to, growing up as a kid. And the loungewear pieces is where I've spent most of my, where I'm feeling very rich auntie. So I've got the fuzzy or the soft chemise gown with the matching robe, or like some pants with the matching tank, where it's all about comfort and functionality for me. And then I love a great shirt dress, especially when times when we have to have Zoom meetings and feel a little professional or a little dressed up. I have the flexibility where like this shirt dress I'm wearing, like I can easily throw on some sneakers, or I can, when time calls for a heel, I can pair it back to a heel. And that's what I said, activewear, loungewear, shirt dress, sets. And I think my last piece would be a great bralette or / sports bra, because who's wearing a real bra right now?
That's a great point. I'm
Not me.
Boom.
I'm with you. I'm here for all of the faux leather. Like you said, even though I may dress up for 2 people in the office or my 3-year-old and 8-year-old, but I'm here for the faux leather and the lounge sets and the 2-piece sweater sets. I mean, it's so perfect to go from a Zoom call, but still be comfortable and functional. I think that's important. And I think that's, kudos to the boutiques who, again, adapted and evolved and heading that direction. So let me ask you all this. Has the current situation changed your buying pattern or certain items you're buying? So like for me, I'm probably not buying as many office clothes or workwear clothes because I'm coming into the office some, I'm not dressing up as much or I'm not going to as many events. So Lindsay, let's start with you on this one.
Yeah, so being in corporate America as well, I definitely shifted my buying patterns to matching sets and tie-dye. But all the while, like having it where I could put on a nice top if I needed to do a Zoom call. But I just think in general, people have gone to a more casual setting. So one of the things that I obviously at the beginning, Amazon was my best friend, but you start to become more aware. And my family having a small specialty store, I started shopping small. I don't need to wait until Christmas tells me to. I started doing it now, and I found amazing shops on Etsy. I found amazing boutiques on Instagram who were posting all the time and catching my attention because that's where I was at. So shopping small with them and being able to share that with my audience, I saw a huge shift in buying from them. And a lot, they have so much of the same stuff. So
Yeah.
that big box retailers do. And I would rather line the pockets of small big business owners like myself. So that's where I shifted my buying patterns. And now I will say, going back out into the field, I'm starting to pick up a few more workwear items and sharing with my audience, like how I can incorporate a white t-shirt that I was wearing during quarantine, throw a blazer of it and a pair of pants, and now I'm ready to go. So I try and work with what I have already and show new ways to wear it.
Sabrina, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really just trying to find different ways, like Lindsay said, to like wear staple pieces. So I am not about maximizing my readers' pockets. If I am sharing deals with them or sales with them, it's because I think that they're really good pieces that they can continue to invest in. Fast fashion has its place, but I think finding a mixture of like trendy pieces and statement pieces, and also just reusable pieces is important. And with the current climate, I feel like I'm just trending more towards like, these are really great staples, and instead of 5 different white shirts you should buy, here's 5 ways to wear one white shirt.
So
Well,
good. Love that.
Oh. I just could listen to you all day. You give all the great advice. So Marie, I'm going to start with this next question with you. So when looking at trends for the season, like spring and summer coming up, how do you decide which ones you really want to explore and which ones you think will fall flat?
Honestly, I'm paying attention to what people are commenting on. I'm looking at like the economics of. I'm looking at what's happening in like Milan and the UK in terms of like the fashion weeks, right? I'm looking to see what they're doing because eventually it trickles down to plus. But there's so much that's kind of like, there's so much about fashion that's tied to like what's going on in the world right now in terms of supply chain, in terms of consumer confidence, in terms of how they're feeling and what resources they have. So for me, I don't always necessarily, I'm not looking that far ahead. Right now, I'm looking at holiday. Like for me, I'm really like laser focused on like what's happening because right now, what the Rona has taught us, Big Rona has told us that things can shift day by day, week by week, what's important and what's not. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh my gosh, like rainbow colored stripes and bold colors, like what Christian Siriano did and what all these other designers are doing is really great. And there's like this, purposeful happiness in terms of fashion in the space. Like they've swung the pendulum that way. But then there's also this like really relaxed, really laid back vibe. So for me, it's a toss up. And I'm now kind of finding myself a little bit more relaxed in that because it's really kind of reactionary than like dictating to. And that kind of creates a different type of relationship, a little bit more of a trusting relationship. Like when people started asking about caftans, I was like, oh, we're doing a caftan roundup. Y'all want the rich auntie look? Let's talk about caftans. So that's the kind of way where I'm able to kind of have those conversations and just give them what they're asking for in that moment. But that requires audience listening. That requires showing up where they are and listening to what they're talking about.
That's a great point.
I know it wasn't a direct answer to you, but
But no, that's great insight. I mean, obviously I don't envy anyone trying to predict spring and summer right now. So I know that's probably something very hard to gauge, but you're right. I mean, buy for holiday. We're focusing on holiday. And then hopefully by spring and summer, we'll kind of have a better idea of what's going on and where we can go. And it might just be me wearing a caftan in my backyard. And
There
that's
you go.
okay too.
With the cocktail in your hand
There
and the
you
big
go.
sunglasses. Like,
Absolutely. Lindsay, what about you?
Well, I think when I think about trends, I do think I kind of have an eye, since I totally called the tie-dye trend and the biker short. We talked about that too. I think we've definitely pivoted into a more casual environment. And I do think matching sets are going to be taken out of the home environment and moved into more of a functional, out and about brunch look. So I think matching sets are going to go forward into spring. The other thing I think has happened during this is we were already on a buy now, wear now trajectory. So that I already was seeing like years ago, compared like when I was selling to my new store owners and my old store owners, old school. So they would have customers who would come in the first week of July and buy every single item for fall, because as soon as the weather changed, they wanted to be ready and they didn't want to miss out and maybe not get it. Well, now people are willing to take that chance. So what I feel like has kind of happened is, like how y'all were saying, your mindset is on holiday and holiday is close. When a year ago, holiday would have been in our face 2 months ago. So I think that sales are going to be pushed back. So I think come January, February, people are still going to be buying sweaters, and spring isn't going to be like it pushed in our face. And I think too, around July, sales weren't going on in July because we could still wear summer items. Why did we need fall? I mean, it's still 90 degrees in Atlanta. So I think silver linings out of this. I'm hoping that this fashion calendar shifts for our stores so that the customer feels like they have longer to wear the item and stores have longer to sell it. So that's kind of where I see trends going, is the fashion calendar.
That's a really great point. Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. It's usually fall always comes out and it's so hot, but yeah, we did see that this year, that everything was kind of pushed back, and why not? I mean, I think that's.
I thought it was so refreshing. Like, I did not feel pressure at all to go buy sweaters in July and August.
That I will have forgotten I bought by the time it's
right.
Yeah.
Like, and I got to wear the items like that I bought for summer and enjoy them longer. It was so nice. So I really hope that's something that I've really wanted for specialty stores for a really long time, is this shift of sales to happen in February and August, not in, day after Christmas and July.
Well, Sabrina, I want to gear this next question to you first, because I know you mentioned you love your heels and your shoes. So we can never have enough shoes. So what are your go-tos for the moment and the season ahead?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked this, because I was prepping for the last question. I was going to say the same thing. Like, as much as I love my heels, like Marie said, like, no one's wearing a bra right now. Nobody's wearing heels right now. I don't even like know how to walk in heel. I feel like I'm so slow, like I'm just like, oh, like, how did I used to do this every day in high school? Like, I don't remember. But I think we're just like gearing towards like a resurgence of sneakers, right? And they're not all athletic sneakers. Like Lindsay said, there's luxury sneakers. We're seeing, obviously a classic white, but we're seeing people kind of colorway their sneakers with different outfits, and like having, if you're like a big neutral person, maybe you're going to do like a really awesome black leather sneaker. We're just seeing like more flats, and like, I almost feel like 2017, we saw like a big push into athleisure, and we saw people taking like their workout clothes into the streets. And now I feel like we're really seeing like the loungewear version of that happen in 2020. Like, I want to wear what I'm wearing at home. I just want to throw on a pair of sneakers and I'm just going to wear it out. Like, whether that's with my bralette, like with my comfortable clothes, with my oversized top, with my leggings, whatever it is, like, I want to continue with the matching set. Like, you're going to wear a matching set and you're going to wear sneakers. And like, that's what I think.
Bree, Lindsay, any other shoe trends that either of you are seeing or loving right now?
Oh, I'm all about the on cloud tennis shoes. They have a pull-on version that has no laces and it comes in a gazillion colors. So one of the things, and this is definitely something that I think specialty stores need to pick up on. Find a good item and buy a lot of colors of it. So if you know that it works and you have a gut feeling with it, go with it. It's probably going to be a hot seller. And I think another buying trend is people buying something that works for them in multiple colors. So, I'm here for those on cloud sneakers. And I think that specialty stores can get them because I bought my pair at a specialty store in Seaside.
Marie, what about you? What are your favorite shoes right now?
Tennis shoes and slides. Like I have a pair of like pearlized slides that, I'll be wearing solid colors and my like pearls just like make me feel a little pep in my step. But tennis shoes, like I have literally, and I don't have them, and I've now like increased my options. I've got rose gold tennis shoes. I've got silver perforated tennis shoes. I've got white tennis shoes with little decor. I've got like, gold ones. I've got literally have like the breadth of options has like increased tremendously. Even my functional Reeboks, I have those that have the support. So when I walk my dog, I feel like, okay, I'm keeping my feet, comfy. But I think it's really going to be about functionality. You're going to be like, I have noticed that people are actually shopping for what's needed now and what's going to be practical. There's a little bit of a practicality that's been kind of flowing in. My readers are still asking for wide calf boots, so I give it to them. But I'm also going to be like, here are these tennis shoes too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the hunt constantly for wide calf boots for my audience. So it's a lot of listening to what they need. I don't know if you're going to ask this, but just a tip coming from someone who loves Instagram, use the tools that they give you because there's a reason behind them. Poll your followers, your customers, ask them, do you like this or that? It's a really great way. Drop a question box in there. What are things that you're looking for? If, what are your favorite colors? Then that helps you buy the same good top in 5 colors. If you know what your audience and your customers will come back and get. So I do that a lot to find out like what my followers on Instagram and my blog want to see.
I think that's a great point. And I have seen some boutiques do this too while they're even at market shopping, that they bring you along with them and do the polls there or showcase, like, I'm thinking of buying this or this, what color should I get? And then
totally. And if it's 50-50, buy both colors and forgo another style that, may not have been as strong. So I think boutiques can really utilize the social media platforms to know exactly what your audience wants and have more hits than misses.
Absolutely, especially in real time. So, well, now while we all love trends, there is such thing as being too trendy, which I am at fault for that sometimes. But what's your advice for store owners as they look towards the new season and need to purchase, but also may have a lot of inventory on their hands? How can they keep their style and brand intact, but also incorporate fresh new trends? So Sabrina, let's start with you on this one.
So I think like Lindsay said, it's really a balancing act. And at the end of the day, your boutique is not created for you to, push out what you want, right? It's about serving your audience's needs. And so if you truly allow them to help curate your collection in your boutique, then I think you'll find more success. People like, it's so funny, Lindsay, like you were saying, people love to be nosy, right? Like they want to know what the behind the scenes looks like. If you allow people to be a part of your buying process and say, look, we're looking to purchase this one or this one, like which one do you love? Even if they don't all pick the same thing, that's even better for you because now you've built that anticipation. So I think using the tools that are at your disposal, obviously Instagram is great, social media is great. Email lists are so valuable and so easy for store owners. anybody that has checked out on your website you have their emails, right? You should be having that box where you can send them marketing emails and bring them into that process. So as far as balancing the new arrivals and the trendy pieces, it's just important to talk to your audience and serve them in a way that makes them really build that trust and reputation with you.
Marie, I'd love to hear that.
If people can give an opinion, they will. Use the tools that Instagram gives you. Like, especially if someone's like yay or nay, and they have a chance to like not say no to your face, they'll take it. You'll get feedback.
Well, Marie, what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I also would suggest, like, if you haven't created like a VIP or customer engagement type of reward system, to leverage that, there have been quite a few brands that I have watched that actually have these VIP Facebook groups, these private secret groups. And this is where they connect and communicate directly with the owner in ways that they don't have access to on their pages. And this community will also give you additional insights. And you have these, you know, it becomes like a privilege, you know, like they do these shopping trips as we talk about, you know, they leverage these private groups in ways that becomes more of a perk, but it's like a marketing perk for you. You know, you're leveraging that to get that direct, immediate feedback, or they're asking questions or need advice or whatever it may be. Like, leverage that too, like to Lindsay's point, like use all the tools, like groups are where it's at. If you are on Facebook, like pay attention to those groups, because that's like, you know, you get the notifications at the top of your bar when you're using groups versus like pages. So utilize that. I also think it's just really important to listen rather than to push, you know, so like pull the information rather than to push all the time. Because like if you ask a question and if you tell them you want to hear from them, oh girl, they're gonna give you all their thoughts. And be ready.
Well, it's just like you said that, you know, your followers were looking for a certain boot. I mean, that goes right back to the boutique owners too. I mean, like you said, listen, ask, what are they looking for? What are they shopping for? And I think that really can drive to make sure that you don't have that excess inventory, or it doesn't skew too trendy, that you're left over with things you can't push.
And I would say, Caris, what happens is when you are able to listen and you do this for a while, you'll be able to predict like what they're going to ask for. You'll be able to, like, one thing that did surprise me was lingerie.
Okay.
Lingerie surely did surprise me, because them girls was looking, they were shopping. And I was like trying to play catch up and give them options. And I was like, whoa, didn't even dawn on me, because I'm not lounging in my house in lingerie. So, you know, like, but they were shopping for it. And I was like, okay, let me go ahead and help them out. What did you say, Lindsay?
All the wifed up girls were needing lingerie during quarantine.
Even the single girls, because they wanted to feel sexy because they were in the house by themselves.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to change it up if you've been in loungewear all day. You know, you want to just dress up a little bit. So I love it. Well, Lindsay, I'm going to start this next question with you, especially because you have a family business. So give us your tips for moving excess inventory besides just offering deep discounts.
This is always a challenge. I walk this line with my sister all the time as she's like brainstorming with me, like, how do I get rid of stuff? I think instead of just having like this, you know, one massive sale, which is always a bonus because you don't want to discount your sale shoppers. They're amazing. You need them. They're very important. So I do think like showing people ways to wear it, ways to move it forward into the next season. If you have a lot of inventory, doing try-on sessions, creating buzz, you know, posting consistent pictures. I mean, I was just talking to my sister this morning. She had a camo sweater that they posted, sold them all in a day. And that rings true for some things that she has left over. Maybe she just didn't give it enough love right when it came in. You know, style it up a few ways, teach someone, show them there's value in buying this item. And maybe you don't even have to mark it down. And again, like I said, pay attention to these brands they are repeating styles. They're body ways and prints. So instead of like marking down so quickly, see if it came back around. And if you do have the ability to hold on to items, maybe try that instead of always just marking down, because you don't want to get your customer into a habit of buying on discount. But you also have to keep in mind of this balance of getting the old inventory out so you can get new fresh in. So it's a fine line, but I think throwing in education will help you move items that maybe took a little longer to walk out the door.
And Caris, I will say to that, to Lindsay's point, like if you find yourself like where like you just can't keep this product, create partnerships with consignment and thrift and resale boutiques. One of my like friends who runs a consignment resale boutique in Chicago, she partners with other boutiques and other retailers who can't, they just need to get the product out. So she buys them on either consignment or she does the bulk buy. And making those strategic partnerships will kind of help the product kind of move along. And then there's like a cross promotion opportunity. So I think it's kind of realizing like what your full options are.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Because even me, I have started a second Instagram account where people can shop my closet. And there's no reason why a store can't do the same thing. Drive traffic from your full price to your even call it a closet, and have them shop, at a discounted rate. But it's not people who shop full price. They're not being influenced by a discount.
That's a great point. Sabrina, anything you want to add to that?
I feel like both of them covered it. I never would have thought about the consignment. And I think that is so interesting. Like that didn't even occur to me. So it's so valuable to have everybody here with like different insights. But honestly, I feel like the other girls covered it.
And that's actually what, for me, I didn't want I didn't need to consign. I just wanted to give her product. I'm like, girl, I need to get rid of stuff out of my closet. I don't have the patience of Miss Lindsay here. Of like, I don't have that patience. So I'm like, here, just take all of my stuff. And she was like, girl, I take beauty products too. And I'm like, oh, word? Like, I sent her 3 large boxes of stuff, like from boots to jackets to product. And I felt like I was helping a small business, right? I was helping her with inventory because she did a big, one-time payment out. Like she could, whatever she needed to do with like her costs, like that was helpful. I mean, and then that's when I started getting nosy and asking her questions about like, how does she work with other brands? Because, to keep products fresh in her store. And that's when she shared with me, like she has, strategic partnerships, even with department stores.
I mean, it's such a great idea, and especially forming those relationships. I know I love seeing when I see influencers do sales, and perhaps boutique owners could tag team with influencers to be a part of their sales when they are doing that again. Even in store, they always get me when they're like, this is the last size left and it's in my size, and they're probably going to discount it, but I'm like, there's one and it's my size. I have to buy it. So those are things that always get me, but I love seeing the influencer or blogger sales. And then also when boutiques come together and even do a boutique sale, maybe you don't have to deeply discount it, but I love when I see that, happening. And I think as events start coming back, those are other ways that they can do that as well. All right. So what is one piece of advice you would give other small businesses to stay positive? So Sabrina, let's start with you on this one.
I'm going to go back to what I said about grace. I'm going to say, be comfortable trying new things. And, this is a crucial time to pivot and have new strategies and try them. If they don't work, that's okay. Like we need to be comfortable with the error side of trial and error. Like seems like we come to terms with trial, like, oh, I'm going to try something, but if it doesn't work out, we're so hard on ourselves. So get comfortable with the error side of trial and error. And then give yourself grace. It's a stressful time. It's just been an unprecedented year. So if you don't hit those certain numbers at the end of the year, just know that like numbers are going to roll over and we'll try it again in January, but spend that time with your family. When you're a small business owner, especially when you physically have no separation between your home and your work, it's hard. You tend to roll over and you tend to extend. We all know you work till 8 or 9 o'clock and then you wake up the next morning and do the same thing. So offer yourself some grace and forgiveness, even when you're out there achieving your dreams.
Lindsay, what about you? What's your best piece of advice?
I think definitely, we all need to be kind to ourselves. This is a really hard time and it's totally uncharted territory. No one's ever been through this before. But I think trusting your gut, listening to your customers, and, just, I will say sometimes in situations similar, obviously not this exact one, err on the side of caution. If your gut is telling you it's not the thing to buy or it's a little too trendy, I would say go with your gut. Right now, it's better to have a safe sale than a super trendy sale. So I think use the tools social media has given you, and just engage with people. I think that's the one way that we're connecting is since it can't necessarily always be in person.
Marie, final thoughts on advice to the business owners on how to stay positive.
I think it's going to be really important, kind of echoing a couple of the sentiments that they said, really practicing giving yourself grace. If you are overwhelmed and you just can't, step away, go sit on the couch, go, take a break, right? Give yourself that space and grace so that way you don't overwhelm yourself. I would also say that if you don't have that network of like-minded business owners and kind of, influencers or creatives, like find that way where you guys can pour into each other, because we're all looking to try to figure out ways to pivot and to manage and to move forward. And I can tell you, like for me, like having those conversations with other business owners is what has literally inspired and helped keep me motivated through this time.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for your expert advice and your insight and for being here. I know you've given such valuable information to all of our viewers. Thank you, Atlanta Apparel, for bringing us all together. And thank you all for watching. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and we cannot wait to see you all in 2021. Bye.
Thank you.